Welcome to the 365 podcast, people. This is, as you can tell, this is going to be a very hilarious episode because I'm with 1/3 of the Black Dads Magic UK trio, the team, the fatherhood, the brotherhood. Some very, very good friends of mine. Yes, I said friend, even though one of them not chatting to me right now. So have to say special shouts out to Pardy and Kester as well, who unfortunately are not available for this Father's Day special episode. But it's amazing to speak to Rolando, and we're gonna speak about what it means to be a dad, a black dad, and a black dad in the UK, and how that's changed their thought process, their outlook on life, how it's been, and the challenges, the ups and downs, and everything in between. So make sure you give them a follow on Instagram. Make sure you click the link in the description box below to check out their Spotify episodes as well. Give them a listen on the way to and from work. As and when you can, please do support them. If you want to get a better understanding of what they do, of course, follow them on Instagram and reach out to them. They are happy to chat, collaborate, and to share their experiences with other like-minded and curious dads, parents, people in general. So, Rolando, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Been a good week. I didn't even tell you, got a new job this week. So yeah, man. So it's a good move.
But all that means is that more money I spend on. It just means more money I spend on the kids and the family.
Yeah. I love how you expand that. No, absolutely not. It's enough money to spend on all of them. But yeah, so it's been good. It's been a good week, and obviously tomorrow being Father's Day as well. So mom's there already. Mom's like, make sure you calm down. So I don't know what is in store for me, but go head down to mom's tomorrow for it. But it's been, yeah, man, I'm good, in good spirits, can't complain. Life's going in a good direction at the minute.
That's amazing. Good to hear. So I love that we started it on a high, on a positive vibes and some good news. Because would you agree that sometimes the energy around Father's Day is a bit hit and miss?
Yes. All right. So there's two things on this now. And when it comes to Father's Day, they're always the same two themes, right? One, the energy given to Father's Day in comparison to the energy given to Mother's Day. And two, Father's Day being precisely that, just Father's Day. And when I say, I'll elaborate on that a bit more afterwards. That's our one day that we get in the year. Now, always leading up to Father's Day, the energy isn't as matched as for Mother's Day. Why this is, don't understand. There's multiple Mother's Day throughout the year for wherever you are in the country. So, like, my mom's trying to do UK Mother's Day, Jamaica Mother's Day. Take one. You get one. One. But it's always like a Christmas special leading up to Mother's Day. You know, it's there after Christmas, after birthdays. It's so celebrated and across the whole retail section of things, media. There's a lot of oomph put into mothers, and rightly so, because the mother is a spearhead in the family. You know, the bringer of life, the harbinger of emotional well-being, mental well-being, and you know, in a big sense, your mom's a glue in a family. You know, really hold things together. So nothing to take that away from moms at all. My mom, prime example, stellar motherhood. You know, raising the three of us all the way through, and for a lot of people, and this leads on to the second part. A lot of people, their mom has played, and why I say played, not to, you know, downsize it all, as in has been a mother and in part a dad for them through either part of their life or all of their lives. Why I say half of that is because, again, this is just my view on things. A mom cannot be a mom and a dad.
Yes, I agree.
A dad cannot be a dad and a mom. You can be a whole of one and up to half of the other. You've never lived a life of a man or woman to be able to completely be the other half to then give that to your child. Do you understand?
Exactly.
So, and this is where it goes to. I've been myself guilty of this growing up because I hold my mom in such a high regard and esteem that when it came to Father's Day, I give my mom a big up. rightly so. You know, mom done a lot. I've had my stepfather and I have had father figures in my life who also give them, you know, they give them their dues. But my mom got a special flowers. And I think embarking on fatherhood now has changed the spectrum a bit, um, to where I'm seeing things on the other side of the lens.
Mhm.
You know, the impact of not having that same level of
Involvement.
and vim put into it, because this is the day or the one day that we actually get where we acknowledge and exemplify fathers in their entirety, and active, positive, and good fathers. Let's just put that out there. Not just someone that has a title based on the fact that they've inseminated a woman. No, I'm talking about a real dad, and we can go on to that a bit later on in there. So yeah, so I've also been one, yeah, moms, you know, big up yourself and such. But I feel like tomorrow, I don't really want to see that. Uh,
Hmm.
Not to take away again, and I'll reiterate from all the great work that a lot of moms are doing out there, and there, a lot of moms that have been single moms through the fathers not being involved in a child's life, whether it be circumstantial or they just decided to just up and leave. I can understand it's a painful day for them, because they're like, why am I, you know, having to be around this sort of environment when I've not had a male play the role that they should play in my child's life? I've been the father as well, you know. And again, I understand that, and I sort of get that. So I get why everyone's, you know, will big up the mom, or she might be like, big up me on Father's Day and such and such.
But
But
then, just
not
to
your
cut
day.
you,
You've got Mother's Day. You've got two Mother's Day. Two. You got two Mother's Day that you
you
can.
could even say three because a lot of people spoil their mothers on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, which I don't understand either. It's a bit
But
strange.
it happens. But I want to chime in and create almost like a suggestion to the women who are single parenting, but they have like a granddad involved or an uncle involved in some capacity. That is the person you should be bigging up on Father's Day. Any
100%.
good parents, any
One.
male friends that are positive role models and have helped you at any moment in time in
Yeah.
caring for, supporting, and uplifting the child, pick them up on Father's Day as
Yeah.
well.
100%. I think any
Definitely.
male member of being your family or friend that you look at in regards to playing an integral role in the well-being and upbringing of your child, to the point where you can look at that person. You may not say it physically, but you may say it mentally. You've been a father-like figure. You well worth saying, you know, big up yourself on Father's Day, though this may not be your child, whether it's your stepfather or any, you know, linkage that you got to each other. Yeah, big them up on Father's Day, same way. There's not wrong with it. Classic example is before Maya. And for everyone listening, Jelani is actually the godfather to my daughter. So that's not far we're coming from along, you know. Um,
Mhm.
and even on Father's Day, would big up godfathers. Like my goddaughter, I'm sure she would always big me up on Father's Day. Always have.
Mhm.
Like Zen would big me up on Father's Day, even before I became a parent. You know, I may have been paternal for many years, helped raise my brother, my sister. I've got a plethora of godchildren, but I got my dues for the role I was playing, and I wasn't doing it just to get big up. I actually care.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's just from my upbringing itself. You know, I've got a great connection with kids, and especially those around me. You know, I treat all my friends' children as my nieces and nephews, irrespective of that, and my nieces and nephews in the same regard. So that's what I mean by giving the respect and, you know, giving a shout out to them that's doing it. Because when you really look at it, if someone doesn't have, if a male does not have that biological connection with the child, they don't have an obligation to be a father figure in that child's life. You know, they're
Mhm.
doing this because of the love, care that they have for the child and yourself, and the
Yes.
respect for you. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So in that respect, this is a so solemn day where it's devoted to giving us our dues, giving the praise.
Rightly
I
so.
don't think that it should be tainted is such a strong word, but shouldn't be so tainted by any sort of scornfulness and bitterness, because let's be realistic, it happens. You know, there are a large proportion of men that have not made it easy for the mother of their children, you know, through whatever circumstance it may be, whether it be vindictive or circumstantial, or they just went their separate ways. And because of that, there's a lot of scorn that's been out there. And on this day, a lot like it's really annoying that happens, but it's like today they exemplify the bad fathers as well. They're like, oh, well, happy Father's Day to me because none of these men are good. Yeah.
Mm.
Men are trash, men or this or that. There's no block. Like, it's not today. Say that for tomorrow or the day before. Do you know what I mean?
No, no, don't even save it for the day before or after, because that's just pre-prepping the bad energy. No, no, those don't conversation
Yeah,
at all.
yeah. But it's just going back to the point of the honing around just on Father's Day. If we just look
Hmm.
at Father's Day as a subject in itself, don't do it. You know, I just think it's
And
distasteful, and no one does it on Mother's Day. You don't see a Mother's Day.
exactly. And do you believe that's one of the reasons why you guys have created Black Dad's Magic UK? Because it's a growing movement now, and I want people to get to know a bit more about the reasons behind creating such a powerful platform.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad that you said movement, because initially you said podcast, which I also do as well. But we like to use the term collective or movement because though it may be three spearheads in the discussion, almost every episode we're featuring other fathers who are positive examples and role models in their sense. We've got an episode coming out tomorrow with a legend in the entertainment industry, DJ Milk Tray. And that's one where you just drop gems after gems after gems. We've had
Mm.
fathers in the financial sections, fathers in the culinary sector, we have fathers in the mental well-being space sector. We've had so many different fathers who have brought something a different element to each conversation that's being had. So just to track back, the origin of this movement stems from obviously Patrick became a father before I did and before Kester did. So in order, it was Patrick, then myself, then Kester. And you know as well, but for everyone that is watching this, we're part of a greater group of friends. We've got a larger group of friends, about 11 strong, that we always meet up together, always getting dance, or we're going to motives or whatever. And we used to do this consistently as single men or as friends, but with a respective relationship. We should always be social elites. Then we were all excited for Patrick when Patrick embarked on fatherhood. I embarked on fatherhood. Kester embarked on fatherhood, and you find obviously the dynamic change a bit because now availability to just go out and do certain things isn't the same anymore. So we really looked at it and we're like, that doesn't mean that, well, we're in a good space where we can do both. We can do it, especially as dads as well.
Mm.
So we try to meet up a lot more as dads. And obviously Kester's not, location-wise, Kester's not close by. So it was a bit techie logistically. But we kept it going. And what birthed this movement was a single trip to, what's that park again? Richmond Park. We went out to, because I myself, my daughter, my girlfriend went there a few weeks prior, and we saw reindeer. So I said, "This is elite," because I'm coming from yard. Only reindeer I'm seeing is on the TV. So I'm seeing this in the flesh. We're going. That means I don't have to fly to Norway. I don't have to fly to Finland to go see no reindeers. I can teach my daughter about these natural animals that's here. So I gave Kester and Patrick a shot. I said, and one of my friends as well, Amari, who's got twins, is like, cool. Let's hit to Richmond. And the three of us turned up. Amari couldn't make it. Now that area or that park isn't one that's filled with people of color. You find a lot more white Caucasian people there. And so we rocked up. 3 dads jumped out the cars, put the kids in the pram. Mine decided she wanted to go in the pram because the other two were in the pram. And gosh, wanted to leave it. And yeah, from when we got out of the car, Patrick was like, "Oh, let's take a picture of it." So we captured a photo, and Kester was like, "Yeah, this is what we like doing. We're gonna try and do this as much more often as we can, because it's something we haven't really been seeing before, and the reason being is because we haven't been in that space because we weren't dads, So as fathers, we want to keep that same momentum of vim and energy going, because you see mother groups meet up, you see moms, they it's really promoted heavily that, there's a lot of mom groups that would do different social things together, or they have mom support groups, X, Y, and Z. So that still can happen in the father space. And again,
Yes.
we were a bit new to that whole environment. So yeah, backtracking it now. So jumped out of the car, got a photo together, and from the car park to the picnic area, which I'll give you is about 20 meters, we were hit with a lot of awe. There wasn't any negative stares that we got. Everything was more of a surprise and pleasant to see this sort of reaction. Not even with words, these were just with their eyes and smiles. Now, for us, it was bittersweet. And why I say this is bittersweet is because where we're happy for that reception of it, we were also annoyed in the sense that we weren't doing anything extravagant.
It's a normal day.
Yeah, it was three dads who wanted to just take their kids to the park, a park where there's natural animals that we can see. And it got to a point where we asked one of the ladies to take a better photo of us, instead of us getting a selfie photo. And she was like, "This is really nice." And I knew what she meant before she went any further. Because I even said to Kessara, she's really staring and smiling. Are we gonna get kidnapped? Like, what's going on here? It's one of these movies, like when they stay at the black people for too long, it's like, yo, you're going in it. And it's really nice to see, And then another lady walked past with her partner, and they were like, mom's having a break today. And it was like, yeah, this is us just out with the kids. But the old couples stop because it's a park that's really popular for cyclists. And they would stop. And I remember the old guy was like, I shouldn't say old, but the elderly guy was like, you guys are, it's a really good look, And these were all white Caucasian individuals. And then Patrick was like, yeah, this is some Black Dad's Magic stuff. And that's how the name actually birthed from there. Yeah.
Wicked. Big up yourself, Party. Big up yourself, Patrick.
You have to give him his flowers for that. And he threw up on.
Love you, Patrick.
He still got a bun. You go away, bro. And he threw up on Twitter. And I don't have Twitter, no, does Kester. But he put it on Twitter with the hashtag. And I think it's around the same time when the Black something magic was a very popular trend. So we had the Black girl magic, Black hairs magic. So obviously the Black Dad's Magic went along with it. And he said it was something about like 44,000 interactions, whatever that means. So we had a conversation. It was like, clearly there's something wrong with the narrative that's out there of Black dads in this country. And we already know beforehand, we just our image fits a specific stereotype, because yourself, we'll go out, we're dancing, synchronized dancing, whatever it is. Kessler's got tattoos, I've got my hair plaited, we're confident individuals, and we're all from the Caribbean. Kester being Guyanese, Jamaican, me and Patrick being Jamaican, we're already walking a stereotype before we even open our mouth. Any interaction, Gallus must have their baby moms. Boom, bam, you name it, that's it. It's there, So, and it's something we've had to live through for a while, to be in our natural self, to defy that without trying to defy it, if that makes any sort of sense. So we really sat down and brainstormed. It was like, we've had a lot of compliments over the years about how good of fathers we are, or seem to be such far. And we're like, you know what? We actually know fathers that are just like us.
Yes.
We aren't the only three that's like that, And as well as we're quite happy that, this is the image that's being there because that's the truth that we're living. There's a lot more that's out there. So clearly something is wrong as why it's not a normality. Because when you look at it, yes, we know bad news sells, but what is exemplified a hell of a lot more is men are trash. Black men are this. Not Black fathers are this. Already, knife crime is blamed on the lack of Black fathers in the kids' lives.
Which is a bad comparison to make. Yeah. I want to quickly chime in here again now, and I feel like to backtrack, as you've been saying, back to that area. You're in Richmond Park. There's a lot of things to break down in the birth of BlackDadsMagicUK. The place you decide to go to is not an area where a lot of Black people live. One, or
Yep.
even go to two.
Yep.
Cool. So when three black men, young black men, decide to take their kids to this place that normally on a normal day we don't go to,
Yep.
it's going to stand out.
And
Whereas,
I think I was in a hoodie. Patrick might have, I think, had his hat on backwards. So we're already fitting some rappers looking video stuff
mhm,
already. And you know,
exactly,
we're not really the quietest, but we're not overly zealously loud, anyways.
exactly. And then we have to give the props to the dads that are heavily involved in their children's life, but most dads take their kids to football.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see them in the local parks, Midesville Park, Brockwell Park, Larkhall Park, Kennington Park, the parks that are we all live in South
Yeah, yeah,
London. So if you live in
close
South London,
proximity.
you know those parks.
Yeah,
You know, you're taking you as a dad, you're gonna take your kid to football. That's the
yeah.
main sport, or basketball. That's the main two things.
But you
So
know
you're
what?
gonna see dads there. So to see yourself now go to a different side of the spectrum and say, you know what, we're gonna go and look at some nature, and we're gonna
This,
relax and in the park as dads together. That is why now as well. It's like, hold on, you're in a different setting. This is not normal for us to be in this kind of setting, and it's great to see. And we need to encourage that, and we need to say, hold
exactly.
on, we can live and do this as well. So we can take the kids to go and see the nature Saturday, and then Sunday we can go do football as well.
Yeah, because this is the thing, right? With that, and I'm glad you actually mentioned it because it goes on to what I was going to bring on a bit later on. Is that those examples you gave for me is doing this. You're staying within a box and you're quite limited. I'm someone that likes to explore regardless, anyways. And it's a common trait between myself, Kester, and Patrick. So we need to not just be in our
Comfort
encatchment.
zones.
Yeah, we there's so much more out there. There's people don't even know what that park looks like. They don't even know what theirs look like. Do you know what I mean? And we sort of made it our thing to try and go to new and different places or different gems within London. So a classic example, another place we took, I took Maya, me and Eb, and I told Patrick and Kester as well because they weren't available, was Kyoto Gardens. Now, this place is based within Holland Park. It's a Japanese themed garden where you have
Mhm.
you've got koi fishes in there, you've got beautiful waterfalls, it's very low cut grass, it's very nice. Go to places like this. There's places that we can go to, and I feel like as people and as black people, and as young people as well, we shouldn't feel like we're limited to just going to our local estate or going to, yes, everyone is going to take their child to some sort of sporting event that they want to support. Yes, definitely take your child to your kid to football. And one thing I should add as well, if you have the time to, because some people's lives are a bit different, they work extrinsic, and obviously there's a cost element. So don't get me wrong, it's not always easy, but where possible, if you can plan ahead, go and do so. Go to somewhere different. Kyoto Gardens one. Another example is Banstead Woods. They've got this. It's a trail you just walk around, but they've got it's called Narnia in the Woods, where they have different sculptures etched into the woods. So you've got the witch, you've got all of this stuff. It's all free as well.
Mhm.
Places that you can go to, and that sort of thing. We also want to encourage that the engagement that you have with your children, it doesn't have to be the same thing every day. Let's go to the playground, your local playground in your estate or just down the road. Mix it up a bit, because those are
Mhm.
things to remember. You understand? If you're always going to your same playground with your child every month for the next 7 years, they're not going to remember that. They'll remember a couple of the times that they're there, and that might just be their thing, which is fair enough. But we definitely want to push and encourage, get out more, explore more, because you also benefit from it as well. Because, like I said, I saw a deer. I'm probably never going to see a deer anywhere else at that close proximity
Again
without,
for a while.
without it being behind a fence, and
Mhm.
it bodes well for her. Like my daughter kept calling her a cow, and it was good that I could actually teach her to say,
Mhm.
"Maya, this ain't no cow. This is a deer."
There.
Albeit she's quite younger at the time. So that sort of engagement and things what we really want to encourage, and we want to do a hell of a lot more. So our main three principles is to empower, encourage, and engage. So those are the three sort of
Pillars.
pillars that we sort of like embody yourself around. And in doing so, we looked at the current space we were in, and we've also done a few prison visits to Pentonville Prison. So a massive shout out to them as well. They invited us down to the past two Black History Months that they've had events there. They come and have conversations with the dads that are there as well. It's since this has started, we've been featured on a number of podcasts or social platforms. And most importantly, a article was written about us straight off the back of the Richmond photo. So I think the author's name or the publisher's name is Steph. Sorry if I got this wrong, but it's I can share the link as well so you can see. It was brilliant to have that. So we did the expose or a piece with that paper. I think it's the Southwest Londoner. I think the newspaper.
Mm.
Off the back of how wild things went on the Twitter. So it's definitely a movement that's been picking up traction. And during lockdown or just before lockdown, we were thinking of entering the podcast space or the creative space, and this whole lockdown period has allowed us to do so. So this the next weekend is going to make a year since we've actually launched the Black Dad's Magic podcast. Where, like I said initially, we have been engaging with a number of dads across the year who have brought different elements and different conversational piece there. The work in the health sector, the financial sector, the entertainment sector, educational sector. And we speak on topics that are quote unquote not spoken about by men. So whether it be in emotions, childbirth, your interaction with your child, educational piece for your child, men accountability, commitment, everything. We're going through it as you go through, and it's just having these conversations and putting out there that these conversations are being had. Men do speak, speaking on loss, which is something that we're quite experienced with close to home, and everything, relationship, commitment, everything that we can, our day-to-day or week-to-week experience in fatherhood as well. Like a classic example, recently, Maya had she had an accident. We like to call it an accident, where she almost made it home without wearing herself. And she was cycling. So we had to go out on a date, because this is the sort of example I want her to get used to growing up, that you go on dates. These are a thing to have, albeit you're with dad, but this is the example of to expect from men later on in life. And it's good for me and her to just have these times together. So it's something that we do quite normally. Me and her would just go to places, I didn't have that with my father because my dad wasn't there. My dad wasn't there at all until when I was about 15, summer 15 is when my dad reached out to me. So prior to that, my dad wasn't there. I've had my stepdad for a large period of time. I've had my uncles, I've had father figures there, but I didn't have that staple father that was there. So I'm giving my daughter all I didn't have and what I want to have had in terms of a father figure, an interactive father and an engaging father. So yeah, she's cycling home, and we got to a distance from the house that we were too far from the restaurant and close to home, where she was like, "Oh, Dad, I need to go and wee." So I was like, it's now also on a busy main road, so it's not like we could, go to a bullshit anywhere, or there was anywhere in close proximity where she could use a public toilet that's there, because obviously the gyms are closed and stuff. So I was like almost in panic mode for a minute, and I was like, "Could you hold it, baby?" She was like, "Yeah," because we were so close to home, but there was so many traffic lights in between, and we've taught her so well about crossing the road that if the green man doesn't show, she's not taking a step on that road. So obviously it took a while to get there, and we literally got downstairs to the front gate, and I just heard her going, "Dad," and I looked around, and she was flooded in tears while she was getting off the bike, and she wet herself. And it was in that moment I realized she wasn't crying because she thought she was in trouble. She literally crying because she didn't make it. That was the worst. I didn't make it, and she felt like she's let me down. And it's in that moment I realized she understood embarrassment and understand what it feels, what quote unquote is to let someone down, And it took an hour to try and get her back to reassuring her that Daddy's not upset with you because you tried, you almost made it, But it was a lot, and she got off her bike, and it was a lot. It was like you put a hole in the side of a pool. But it's reassuring her that you really did try, and trying is what matters. Whether if you don't try, you won't make it. As much as you feel like you may have failed, you tried, you almost there. Daddy's still proud of you, for making it this far, because she let me know beforehand she needed to eat. Well, let me know early enough that she needed to wee, so we knew what the situation was. So we tried to get home as quick as possible. And knowing how my daughter is, and she'd make it, she'd be like, "Daddy, we made it," because she'll be
Mhm.
happy with it. And again,
Exactly.
signifying to me that she understands success. She's, these
Yes.
things, and she's only 3 years old. So that was a massive eye opener for me that she understood what embarrassment was at that age, you know. But yeah, for us, it's really to keep going with this platform and have these engagements with other dads, especially because what we find is that we've all three of us got 3 different personalities. As much as we're quite
Mhm.
similar, we all have our own thinking on our own um idea of how fatherhood is going and would be going. Because one thing we say quite a lot to everyone is that there's no blueprint for parenthood. There definitely is no blueprint
None.
for fatherhood. um how Maya is, my next child may not be the same. So we can't all raise our kids in the exact same way. Remaya is almost a carbon copy of me from child growing up. So there's some things that my mom has done with me that's been working with Maya, and there's some things that hasn't, because she's
Mhm.
developing her own personality as you go through. So this is why we're having this conversation. So each and every guest that we've had, we've also learned from, and they've also learned from us. And it's a platform that we've put together to not just be aimed at dads, because the narrative isn't put there by dads. It's not being controlled by dad. Each and every individual, men, women, boy, girl, children, everyone plays a part in helping to change this narrative. Because one,
Yes.
um, the negativity surrounding um, dads and black dads is there's a large portion to those dads that weren't the right example. Let's just put our hands up and say that out there already. But secondly, the other portion of it is the moms or the females that reinforces it so heavily, albeit through their bad experience that they've had, which rightly so, you understand you've gone through a traumatic thing like childbirth, and to now feel like you have to raise a child for the rest of their life by themselves while the man can just go off and piss off and do as he wants. I understand that. I understand
Mhm.
the anger behind that. But, and this is where it comes back to, this platform's also for you to realize that everyone isn't like that bad seed. You've got so much more positive fathers out there that you shouldn't take one paintbrush to paint the whole canvas.
Everybody. Yes.
Do you understand my point? So yeah, it's really, this platform, we say it is put on by dads, and it's run by dads, but for everyone, even if you're
Yes.
not a parent, because you yourself, we influence you as much as you're so influential. We influence you in terms of seeing how fatherhood is going. So for you on the outside, you're now having a projection of, so that's what fatherhood's like. And you could look at father, me being a father, Patrick being a father, Kessler being a father, and have 3 different takes on, right, there's a 3 different fathering styles, you know? Now,
Mhm.
if we go off and go do some shaggery, you and myself, we have to pull up each other on that. You
Yes.
know? And that
Yes.
accountability piece is what, the one thing I would admit I think needs to be greater amongst us men, to hold our brethren accountable, hold ourselves accountable. And I think it would bode well and help well. But we definitely do need the whole community to understand and digest what we're doing here. And to then
100%. And I want to chime in and add that I feel like that is definitely what the platform Black Dads Magic UK is going to go on to do. It's going to give men the space, the forum,
yeah,
and almost the confidence and comfortability to have these accountability conversations, to have these sharing moments. Because again, you have to remember the society we live in, whether it's here in the UK, America, Africa,
yeah,
or Caribbean, for the most part, doesn't allow men to be emotional, doesn't allow men to share their emotions and to share their thing. And it's almost like mom controls the rearing of children and dad just provides the resources. And I feel like that also, in an essence, has
yeah,
caused there to be some divisiveness, to be some, oh my God, I'm just here to provide money, and my needs, my desires, my hopes, my
yeah, yeah,
dreams for my child and or godchildren are is not being met or even considered significantly enough
yeah.
for me to feel like yes, my role is being, appreciated and executed wholeheartedly. And it's something that again, like you mentioned, that we need to have the conversations now where we have the other podcasts, other platforms that are encouraging and uplifting the mothers to say, okay, cool, let's come together now and have this open platform, this open dialect in a bigger space to share ideas, to grow and learn from each other. So it's really, 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 really good to see. And I also wanted to now touch on what's it been like growing or raising your child during the pandemic, because for a lot of dads that have
Mhm.
just become dads this year now, it's a very weird space to
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
It's very, very, very weird. It's not what you as an adult now, you remember your childhood, and you know you didn't have these many limitations, these differences, and
yeah.
learning these things and understanding, oh, you can't do this now, you can do this now, you can't. So how has that been for you? And if you can probably speak for
Yeah.
Keston and Patrick, that would be good too, to an extent, of course.
You know what? That's very. It's a very good question. It's something that we've also observed, and we've got a dad who's been I'm gonna say had a COVID baby, and by that as in a child during the COVID period, because what a lot of people don't realize is that that's a whole new realm for them, and in a sense, we were fortunate to have our children pre-COVID, right? And I say this to say, because of lockdown, your child hasn't been able to interact with other people, the outside world. So the moment this child now is now into an environment filled with people, chaos. We actually saw
Mm.
that. We actually like saw that at Zion's birthday. There was a child didn't stop crying. I was like, oh, what's wrong with that? This is the first time that the baby's been around so many people. So it's all alien to them. So when Maya was born, there was no lockdown, so we could go places, we could have people come around. There was that interactive piece. When we needed each space from each other, we could just go outside, or Eb could go somewhere, I could go somewhere, we could go somewhere with Maya. Do you know what I mean? That is very limited. So now,
Mhm.
because of lockdown, all the parents that became parents lockdown, I I'm sort of like I sort of feel not really feel sorry for, but it's like sorry is the wrong term, but something along those lines.
Empathize with them,
Yeah,
yeah.
I empathize with them because you're in a confined space and not have this additional space to, grow it. And being locked, confined together for so much can create so much friction, especially when you just start embarking on parenthood, because there's so much things you don't know, you don't understand, and you need help, and sometimes you just need space, you just need a break, but not
Mm.
being able to have that must be excruciating. Apps, because I sometimes sit back and look at it and just compare. In lockdown, it's allowed us to spend a lot more time with our kids. Like Kester would tell you, he's as much he does work in NHS, so he's not been working from home as such. As I have been able. I've been working from home from lockdown began, and it's been a blessing and a curse in a sense, in that I'm still working. So as much as people are like, oh yeah, you get to spend more time with your daughter. Yes, it just means that I spend less time traveling, and that traveling time I can spend with her. However, when you're working from home, your days become longer, your working days become longer, because we've all had to adapt. The communication piece has had to evolve. Um, and it's not like I can just go 10 meters across the office to go and speak on something, get something done. It's now an email, or as and when someone's available to jump on a Zoom call. So that prolongs your day. Those
Exactly.
sort of and I work in a financial company, so we have Zoom calls or all the time, ad hoc Zoom calls all the time. Something may go left, that sort of thing lengthens out your day. So instead of me finishing 5:30, there'll be some days where I'm finishing 9 o'clock or even later than that. So that's robbing me of time with my daughter.
Mm.
Days when she's not at preschool and she's here, she sees daddy's hair. So to her, in her head, was my dad's hair. So now we
Mhm.
can do everything. So she's become a lot more needy, in this, not in a negative way, but it's like, you're here now, so I want more of your time, which is right for her, because for her, she couldn't understand the space of I'm working from home. It took a long time for her to understand that daddy's doing important work. So that's our line: daddy's doing important work, or daddy's doing an important meeting. So I've had to learn to teach her whilst I'm doing work. So we'll
Mhm.
set up. We've got a little. Where is it?
Yeah, man. Show us the little setup. Yeah.
Yeah, we even got a little whiteboard, that my girlfriend's put together, because she also observed that
Pick
she,
you up, pick you up every day.
so
Love
she's
you.
she observed, and through a few conversations we've had, that Maya needs that constant stimulation. She's only 3 years old, so she needs that stimulation, that interaction. And she's, as you already know, she's very much energetic. And I like playing with her. I'll throw her wherever she wants to go and throw her in the beanbag and stuff. So now you find she's jumping off the sofa into the beanbag. And I'm like, I can't really say nothing because I sort of endorse that nonsense. But being able to have those whiteboards, which has an easel, many different educational pieces dotted around the room, to the point where this week alone, as an example, there will be points where she's like, Daddy, I'm going to do some homework. So she'll get her book out and start working on her, tracing her letters, or she'll start doing her numbers. And I've had to like sort of adapt to where in the morning when she don't have nursery, I'm like, cool, for the first 2 morning, you're going to do some sort of learning. Then the next 2 hours, you're going to do, have some you time, watch whatever you want to watch, then lunch, then we'll repeat it again afterwards. So that's the sort of blueprint, or the sort of like map that I've set out, that I'm trying to work with and have been working with throughout lockdown. So of course it had to be adapted as you go through, but that's sort of been my successful formula that's been going. So it's allowed us to still interact. I can still be her dad and her confidant and her teacher whilst I still get some work done. And obviously in between, when I have breaks from work, we'll play, we'll watch something together. Like I tried for us to share a movie during my lunch break or something before she naps, So that's just on my part. It does allow us to do so. So I'll be able to take her to the park on lunch. If she like, oh, Daddy, want to go to the park, can do that, because previously couldn't do that. I was at the office, So in him, like, cool, we can go to the park. She can get her bicycle. I can get my skateboard, and we can just do up Tony Hawk on the way there, or we can go TGIs. We can go creams. You get what I mean? It's allowed me to, or allowed us to be able to have that enhanced connection with each other, and allowed me to learn her, because that's what a lot of parents and a lot of people don't realize is it's a flower. You're watching a flower bloom, so you're learning how to then nurture and feed this plant correctly, and that's the same as a child. So I'm learning who she is, as much as parents, we're molding them by giving them the direction that we think is best for them. And why I say think is best for them, because everything has to be adaptable. As parents, we have to be very much adaptable. I'm learning who she is. I'm learning things about her. I'm learning how to deal with her and how to not deal with her as it goes through. And being with her so much allowed me to do so. Now, there's also the flip side of thing. Being with her too much is also driving me crazy, because let's be realistic, as parents, we need a break from being parents. So if you're not a parent, listen to this, you need a break from being a parent sometimes.
100%. And
have a relationship, or just to have a normal time of you being yourself. So there's two sides to it. And
people, take this moment right now to share the video. This is your break. We've been talking for quite some time, and I want you to take a moment to share this video with somebody. Comment and let us know if you are relating to this, if you're going through it right now. Put some tips and suggestions in the description box below. Let's share. Let's grow. If you're a dad watching this, you're a new dad, or you're a dad to be, or you're a godfather, or an uncle, or a brother, or a nephew, or a niece, or a cousin, and this is inspiring you, this is encouraging you, we are glad for that. And we ask you kindly to please give this a thumbs up, and also comment below, and also share the video. The more you share the video, it's really appreciated. It's good, because this kind of information, this kind of reassurance, this kind of passion and knowledge needs to be spread amongst all the Black men in the UK and then globally. So no matter where you are in the world watching this kind of information, these tips, these suggestions can definitely work for you in some capacity. Yes, continue.
And if you're a dad to be, still be excited about it. Although it'll be a bit different, with the hospital setup and stuff. I'm not sure if they're still doing open days where you can go and view the birthing center and all of those things. It may be different because of COVID, but still be excited for what's to come, honestly, and be as engaged as you can with it. Another thing lockdowns allowed for me and Maya and Ebony as well is I do a lot of cooking anyways, but Maya can come in the kitchen and observe from a distance safely, obviously, and when applicable, she can also be involved in it as well. Whereas previously, coming from work and go home, either Eb's had to cook, and they've been able to have that time. I've not really had that time. But at least I knew when I come in, I'd bath her, read her a story, and she could go to bed. Do you know what I mean? but it's been great. And it also has been difficult because that's one thing we pride ourselves on this platform that we've hosted, is that, to be transparent, that's like we speak on the difficulties in fatherhood.
Mm.
We're not here to sell you a dream that is a bunch of roses all the way through, because it's not. And one thing I like to always say is that fatherhood, the difficulty um isn't just raising a child, it's raising a family.
Mm.
We both, as parents, have two different unique ways of raising a child or wanting to raise a child, because how you choose to raise a child, a lot of things plays into it, especially how you were brought up. So we were brought up a little bit differently, so we're both going to want to embark on things a bit differently, how we deal with her, i.e. discipline. We both have different stances to how we approach discipline, you know. And these are the things to really factor in and take in, whether it's a conversation you want to have prior to, you know, becoming parents, you know, your partner, or along the pregnancy period, the labor period, then have it, I definitely say, so then you can both identify how you want to approach discipline, learning, um sorry, um emotionally supporting, all of these things. And so nothing comes as a surprise to you later. You don't have disagreeing points, you know the threshold of how far they go. So if you're someone that was raised on the naughty corner, or you was raised on beatings, or if you was raised on I don't know, things being taken away from you, sort of thing, have that conversation to get there. But that's, again, that's just from my point. From Patrick, I know he says himself many times he's been very grateful for him because he's got to spend a lot more time with Naya, and he studies as well as he does his I have a part-time job, so a lot of times he's quite busy anyways. So being able to be forced to stay home has been great. I think there's a few
Mm.
times where he's took Renaya with him to university as well.
Mm.
The classes, which again, that inclusivity, I think, is a massive boost in our society, that they allow this, to sort of happen.
They allow dads for that, because most time you hear that for just the mothers. Like I
Yeah,
remember in college, like if you were a young mom, there's like a almost like a creche on site where you can bring your child to. So on the days where you can't afford to have the child in nursery, you can bring the child to college and
yeah.
study, and that's
But don't forget, there was even a time when that was even scrutinized against. It was like,
exactly.
if you're a parent, that's it. When you finish being a parent, then come and learn. So we have to
Mhm.
give plaudits that we've modernized in some sense. And yeah, he's also thoroughly enjoyed it with Nai. As much as she breaks his stuff left, right, and center, he still gets that time, because Patrick's a very big advocate over, and he's saying presence over presence.
Mhm.
It's not just if you're gonna be present, be present. Do things whilst you're there. And with Kes, because he works in the NHS, he's worked throughout. But what I really love that him and Portia's done, his fiance, is that they've put him in the nursery on site to where they are, so he can just pop in there, come and check Zai out
Nice.
when if and when and if
Nice.
anything goes left, first point of contact is on site,
Mhm.
and they've had that blessing and reassurance with that. And another is another great example as well of very engaged with everything. And when on the days off and stuff, always doing things together. We've got a group chat together, and that's another point that we like to reiterate to people is, especially dads, you can have your football group chat, you can have a group chat about girls, you can have a group chat about nonsense, you can have a group chat about fatherhood.
Mhm.
So that's what
That's right.
that's what we've had since we decided that we're gonna run full steam with this. And in here, we're talking about everything, like the highlights, low points. I remember when Maya had a period where she would just wouldn't sleep properly, or she'd just be crying at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And for Eb, she was working early hours. So I took Maya, came in here, and walking around with her on my shoulder until she falls asleep. I'm like, cool. Then as soon as her head hit the pillow, she's upset again, or she'll be sick. And it's like, sometimes I don't know what to do. But at the same time, I don't want to wake up Ebony because she needs to sleep
Sleep.
for her to go to
Mhm.
work. So I'll drop it in the group chat, be like, this is driving me nuts. Like, I don't know what's going on. This is what X, Y, and Z. And obviously they may or may not be awake. And in the morning we'll pick up, we'll have a discussion about it. We'll have the conversation. Because although we're at different points in fatherhood, we can still have an input of how potentially
Mm.
we could fix this, or what may be causing X, Y, and Z. And if not, we don't have the answer. We don't know what it is. Once I do find the answer, we share it. And this is what I mean. These very simple and common tools are there to use. So let's use it. It happens, you know. But yeah, for that's on us three, man. Everyone's been quite fortunate. Because one thing with Kester is he says all the time, if he could be a stay-at-home dad, he'll do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like that's something that we may see more of in the
yeah,
future. And as the women evolve and develop and take their place in the world more and more and more, not
yeah.
just as mothers but as women and as entities that can thrive, survive, and nourish and flourish. They're making the money, they're getting the bag, they're, as I said, they're securing the
Yeah.
bag. So they don't want to be tied down to the kitchen or home and that, and they want to be able to take girls trips and take business trips. And there's nothing wrong. What's wrong with you being a stay-at-home dad and just enjoying that, and you can be with your kids? And a lot of
I
men
think,
like to,
I think with
yeah man,
that,
be
it's the
fruitful and
emasculated.
multiply,
It's a
but
bit
then
emasculated. That's what
yeah,
it comes
the
across as.
fruit
Yeah.
is all over the place. I don't know. I'm just imagining it, or I'm likening it to, if you have a vineyard, you want to be able to access every part of the vineyard, right? You
Yeah.
want to see all your fruits. You want to be able to touch every tree, touch every orange, touch every bunch of grape, not just
Yeah.
the one in the little small square. So that's been definitely been insightful and great to hear this perspective. And
Yeah.
again, we
Like
have
I
to
said,
pick up the dads that are pushing on and really working well with their partner, with their families, and doing their best to really be their best for
yeah, yeah.
their family.
And I think to touch on your previous point as well, I think as men, we always fighting against anything that makes us feel emasculated. And
Mm,
being a stay-at-home dad is something that throughout time has been sort of shunned. That nah, that's for the mom to do. You shouldn't be doing so much cooking or so much cleaning, so much washing up. That's more of a female sort of thing to do. And I think that's an industrial era way of thinking when men went off to war, or like a caveman sort of thinking when you went out to hunt. Then all the moms could do was, look after the well-being of the house and the family and such. We've definitely moved miles and miles on from that in such a modern era where it shouldn't feel emasculated, but at the same time, women should also allow the men to be men as well, and stop so much second guessing what the partner is doing and going through. We understand. I understand that there's a innate paternal instinct to want to make sure everything to be right to how you feel is right
mm,
done. But this constant overlooking and overshadowing,
mm,
second guessing, is definitely not a good approach to take for a man in fatherhood. Like, allow him to be a dad in his own way. If he
yes.
fails at something, then definitely, or if you see that he's going to be failing at something, there's nothing wrong with then intervening then. But the constant overshadowing stuff, it doesn't work well. It doesn't work
None
well
at
at
all.
all. But yeah, it's definitely there to do. And I think, like you said, because of COVID, we reckon that it's a transition in a lot more dads being at home. We had a stay-at-home dad who was a stay-at-home dad previous to COVID. Tony as on Instagram. That episode of him was wicked. He was like, yeah, he made the decision to just be a stay-at-home dad. For two parts really, his partner's career, also as his career, and spending time with his kids. And it was a really good eye opener, because I was looking for a stay home dad for a very long time, because it's almost like these people are not in touch and distance, but they're there. And
Mhm.
the other bit to really speak on, which you just mentioned, which is great, is that since we've embarked on this journey and gone in this space, we've been connecting with a lot more father movements, which previously I didn't know exist.
Mm,
I became a dad, and then we decided to start doing this. Like, social media is a powerful place for the negatives, but also the positives. Whether it's a simple hashtag or a simple reshare and stuff. And this is why we said these platforms and these movements and these things that we're doing, it's not just aimed at that; it's for everyone. So if you feel like, oh, an episode that you started listening to fast doesn't really resonate with you as such, you can still share it, because it could resonate with someone else. Because that's just how I am. It makes a lot more sense.
exactly.
I always share stuff. And we've connected with Fathers Forum, Lee, we've got Stand Up Black Dads UK. There's a he's not a father, but he's a um nanny, a male nanny, and he's doing some
Wow.
big business. Yeah. one of the guys we just saw, like sort of connected on social media for, and we're going to try and get him on as well. And I think that's a very, very good topic to really go through, because you don't find a lot of male nannies, but he's a very big advocate movement of that. I think his name's Joshi Care, and such. But these people there, they exist, and social media has allowed us to connect with these people, you know, these other dads, these other male figures that are in these space doing stuff. So don't shy away from doing so. And if you feel like you have a cause or a cause that you want to fight for, similar to this or such, go do it. There's, like you've even said to me last year, early in the year, there's no better time to jump in the creative space than whilst everyone's locked at home, because people have nothing to do but listen, you know, and that's a very powerful tool to utilize whilst you still have it. But yeah, man,
that's been great. So what else can we expect from Black Dad's Magic UK going forward now, as we wrap up and bring this session to a close?
We've got, like everyone else that's a creative at the minute, is we've had planned, and obviously literally as soon as lockdown came, it ruined it. We had a we like to call it a Dad and Me Day. That was a day set out or put on by dads, but it's not to be just for dad, but the whole family, to also educate them. Where we had lined up where members from the NHS teaching about first aid, you know, because it's something that's quite slept on as parents. There's a key difference between first aid for an adult, first aid for a child, i.e. the CPR. You can't do a full palm on a child, you break the child's chest, rib cage. We had tutors, we had financial wealth advisors and well-being advisors. These are the sort of things that we were planning and put in place, and it was literally 2 or 3 weeks before, no, a month before lockdown, that we had to cancel it, because lockdown happened, obviously. So these are the sort of things we're trying to put on post lockdown out, just watching the government guidelines. But at the minute, we're like I said, we're running full steam ahead with our podcast and platform, and doing a lot of interaction with other parenting groups to just reinforce this image that's there. But I don't want to let too much out of the bag, so I don't enough. But I can't give away too much. Again, people, it's there. Do follow the page. And one thing we like to really point out to everyone: any questions you want to have, no matter how personal you may think it may be, we're very open to answering it as well as we can be, being as transparent as we can. And if there's any sort of things you haven't agreed with that I've said on here, or any tips you want to share, please do reach out to us, because that's what we're there for. You know, we're here to learn as well as to educate. We just really want to go through. And if any dads want to connect, you know, and join in any of the conversation or topics, or have a topic they want to discuss, definitely reach out to us. We're happy to have them on the platform as well.
All right, Rolando, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. As always, you want to big up yourself. This is so funny interviewing one of your closest friends. Yeah, it's good, it's dope. Thank you very much. This has been Doing It 365 podcast. I've been your host, Influential. This has been Rolando from Black Dads Magic UK. Remember, the links to their Instagram page, their social page, their Spotify will be in the description box below. So go and follow, go and subscribe.
And we're on every podcasting platform, so not just Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of them.
There you have it. Right. Enjoy Father's Day. Enjoy the pre-Father's Day celebrations from this evening.
Yeah, man.
Blessings and love. Peace, brother.
Bye, guys. Later.